Welcome to a video about the large intestine meridian as part of kinesiology. And we work with the traditional Chinese medicine approach, working with the 5-element model. And the large intestine sits in the metal element, and it is the yang masculine organ that partners the lung yin organ. And so we'll come on to that a little bit more. So the large intestine, where is it? What does it do? So it's in our lower bellies. If you find your hip bone and your belly button on the right-hand side, in between those 2 points is your ileocecal valve, which connects the small intestine to the large intestine. And then on the other side, you have your Houston valve, which is in between the belly button and the left hip. And so there's the position of your large intestine. And so what does the large intestine do? A big part of its role is absorption of water. So hydration is important for the large intestine. It absorbs vitamins and minerals, so sodium, potassium, and vitamin K. But there are also recent studies that show that it plays a role in calcium and magnesium as well. And magnesium is one of our favorite supplements for the large intestine. The large intestine is a bit like our human bin. It is clearing our body of waste. So mostly water, 75% of feces is water. It also contains bacteria, dead and living. It has some bile in it from the liver, which is, it also contains liver's metabolic waste. There's some fungus in there, there's some protein, undigested fiber. Fiber is really important for the large intestine, keeps everything moving along. Cellular linings, fats. Fats also lube up the large intestine. So this is why we have a diet rich in fat and fiber. And it has some salts as well. So the large intestine plays an important role. It can be a bit of a victim in the body because it is dealing with all of the waste and the fallout from other organs. So when we have symptoms in the large intestine, it's often to do with something further up the chain, which we'll explore. What are the muscles in kinesiology that are linked with the large intestine? We have 3. We have the fascia lata, which is the IT band, which is the thickening of the lateral aspect of the fascia lata. So we're talking about like the seam of our trousers. The quadratus lumborum, which are deep abdominal muscles in the lower back, which help us do this demo. We also have hamstrings, which are on the back of the thighs. So when we have someone who has large intestine issues, then we can see that it can definitely change their gait because we've got legs in the muscles, we've got legs in muscles in the lower back, and we've got the hamstrings at the back. So we can see that someone with a large intestine imbalance can maybe turn their feet in because of the fascia lata. They can sometimes have very tight hamstrings, tight backs of the legs, or they have backache because of that quadratus lumborum. Also, the hamstrings play an interesting role in the sacrum, which is in the lower back. So backache can often be a large intestine issue. Other imbalances, indigestion, IBS, constipation, diarrhea, food intolerances, a poor immune function. There is such a huge connection between the digestive system and the immune function. And this is something that we teach a lot in our functional kinesiology practitioner training. So if you're interested in that, check out that course. Weight instability, because the large intestine is all to do with evacuating our waste. And if we're not evacuating our waste, it gets stored in the body. So it either gets stored or it comes through as bad skin. Bad skin can often be waste toxins that are not being effectively excreted by the large intestine. A malfunctioning ileocecal valve. This is something, again, that we work on in our functional kinesiology practitioner training. And like I said, if you get pain in the ileocecal valve between the hip bone on the right-hand side and the belly button, it can often be to do with the large intestine imbalance. So how do we as functional kinesiologists balance the large intestine meridian? Well, there are 4 areas that we look at. We work with these, which is biochemical, emotional, electrical, and structural. Biochemically, we are looking for fiber from vegetables, eating healthy fats, drinking water. And also we are, because of this relationship in the 5-element theory, that the large intestine sits in the metal element with the lungs, deep breathing can really help stimulate the large intestine. There is also this connection of digestion being part of the parasympathetic nervous system response. And so the more that we deep breathe, the more that we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Muscle testing for supplements that we work with, digestive enzymes and acid. Yes, they are primarily used by the stomach, but if the stomach isn't digesting food properly by the time it gets to the large intestine, then you're in all sorts of bother. So we want to make sure that people are breaking their food down so the large intestine has a good time. Digestive herbs can be really effective for the large intestine with any imbalances that are going on there. We work with fiber. We like omega-3. Again, that's an oil that can be used. It's an anti-inflammatory oil that can be used to help move things along. And we love a magnesium. Magnesium citrate and magnesium oxide are the big bowel movement, constipation magnesiums that we'd be looking at. The emotional balancing side for the large intestine, this metal element is to do with grief and letting go. And it is common that if someone is going through a period of grief, that they maybe will start to have lung or large intestine issues. So maybe they start to become more constipated. So exploring how we express grief and guilt and regret and how we work through it can really help and support the large intestine. Electrical balancing. The optimum time for the large intestine is 5 to 7 in the morning, and this is when we should hopefully be getting up in the morning, moving our bodies and having a good bowel movement if we've got a healthy large intestine. Meridian runs from the index finger, it runs up the arm and to the crease of the nose. So you can see here on the blog that we've done on the large intestine, there is an image of the large intestine meridian as well as a video tracing that meridian line. Structurally balancing, we would be working with the neurolymphatic points for the large intestine for those 3 muscles that I mentioned earlier. We would also be looking at gait. So when you're looking at maybe a lower back problem, turned in feet, hyperextended hamstrings, and things that you can do structurally, as well as we would work with the neurolymphatics, is that you can make sure that you're in a squat position when you are going to the toilet, because this engages all of the muscles and it supports the large intestine to fully evacuate. It helps relieve constipation. How does the large intestine fit with our model of the triangle of hormonal health? So at the heart of functional kinesiology, we work with this triangle, which is this blood sugar, adrenal stress, sex hormone relationship. And you can see here that if the blood sugars are imbalanced, then they will have a knock-on effect with the vagus nerve, which is an important nerve that controls the digestive process. When there is too much cortisol in stress, then this causes an increase in absorption of water and sodium by the colon and the rectum. And also cortisol is the sympathetic nervous system response, and digestion is a parasympathetic nervous response. So if we're constantly in stress, then we're not going to be getting that digestion moving. The sex hormones estrogen and progesterone are closely related to the gut mucosa, and also gastrofunction and inflammation. So estrogen, for example, is inflammatory, whereas progesterone is anti-inflammatory. So if we've got too much progesterone, not enough too much estrogen, not enough progesterone, then we can see inflammation in the bowel. So this is why it is so important to work with the triangle of hormonal health, because the large intestine is often a victim to what is going on here. So if what I'm talking about sounds interesting, check out our kinesiology training. We run a foundation training course, which is learning all of these muscles that I have mentioned and how to balance them. And then we've got our practitioner training, which is working deeper with this triangle of hormonal health.